Imagine you get your first gig in the NFL and it's in the middle of a pandemic as a head coach. That is what's happening with our guest here for the first time here on the Rich Eisen Show. Pleased to have this gentleman, head coach of the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rhule. How are you, Coach?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming here on this show. Do you have any take? You've got kids. Where would you rather be quarantined for 3.5 months? Las Vegas, Nevada, or Disney World?
I'd go to Disney World in a second.
Now, are you preparing for winning the Super Bowl by saying that line?
No, I think my wife and I just need a little bit of a break. I think we would go to Disney World in a second. Oh, my goodness.
Hand the kids off to Mickey and say we'll be back in about 3 hours, pretty much, something
Love
like that.
Love you guys. We'll be at Epcot Center.
We saw your kids at your introductory press conference. How old are they?
My son Bryant is 15, and then my daughters are 7, and then little Leona, she's about to actually turn 5 this week.
Oh my gosh! In a quarantine situation, I've got an 11.
They used to be so cute.
That's a great line. I have an 11, 9, and a 6-year-old at home, Coach.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, it's well planned out.
Yes, that's right. We're running through the Disney Plus offerings day by day, daily day. So what is your challenge right now? What's your, to use the coaching term, what is your challenge right now here in the middle of June, in the middle of everything?
I think it's just trying to build a team, trying to get to know people, trying to make connections, build some chemistry with a team that the 90 guys. I think I counted. I've met 20 of them, and so just knowing that if I was walking down the street and some of our players, key guys, were walking down the street, I might not even know who they were. So that's it's just so different, and especially for a guy like me, I'm probably a pretty relational guy. Just trying to make sure I find a way to connect, even in this unique time and space.
So when do you think, if you gave me your best guess, and I know coaches deal in certainties, so it's a difficult thing to ask, when do you think you see people in person? Best guess here.
I think when training camp starts. I mean, I put that in my mind. I'll lose my mind if I keep saying, well, it could be this, it could be that. So I just plan out like, hey, I'm going to see everyone July 21st, and then if something happens before then, I'll be ecstatic, and if it ever gets delayed, I'll just deal with it as it comes. So, but I think in the sports world, we'll see what happens with the NBA and Major League Baseball. We're kind of seeing what happened in UFC and soccer across college football is getting back together. So I think we'll have a lot more information, probably just as a society, even in 30 days.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you use the term lose your mind, Coach, because every coach I know is a control freak to the nth degree. Certainly professional football coaches are particularly that. And this is just one huge uncontrollable, just the biggest uncontrollable maybe in the history of controllables for sports. And the fact to use that term, I think, is interesting.
Well, it's funny, as a coach, I find myself, I've always said to my players, hey, control what you can control, what you can control, kind of teaching like that stoic mindset. Yep. And it's a lot easier to say to other people than it is to do to yourself, right? So all of a sudden now I get in the same situation, and I have to practice what I've preached, and I have to just sit there and calmly look at everything. And I really believe that every development has two sides. There's a good and bad to everything. So just trying to find the positives, just trying to find the ways in which, maybe someday I'll look back and say, hey, that was really cool that happened, or it was good that it happened in that way. So it's not easy, but I think it's what we all have to do.
So in the meantime, let's try and figure out what it may be, and what is this Carolina Panthers team going to look like with you now in the mix, and Joe Brady, who was easily the most sought-after assistant from the collegiate ranks, with McCaffrey all signed, sealed, and delivered in an unprecedented manner. Teddy Bridgewater being brought in. What is this team going to look like? What can you tell Panthers fans what it will look like?
I think we're going to be an exciting team on offense. I think Joe has a great system. He learned under Sean Payton. In New Orleans, he did a great job at LSU. We're excited about Teddy, and we have a young group of receivers: Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, former first-round draft pick. Went and got Robbie Anderson in free agency. You mentioned Christian. We think he's someone that can do so many different things. So I think a lot of our experience, a lot of the guys that have played a lot of football are on that offensive side. So we'll have to get some timing and put some things together. But I'm excited about where those guys are. And then, I think defensively, we had some key veterans, that we built around, and KK Short, has been an All-Pro, and Shaq Thompson, Trey Boston, and then went out and we're the first team that ever drafted all defensive players in the draft. And so, I think we're going to be a young group, a fun group. You mentioned Joe. We only have one player on the team that's older than Joe Brady, and Joe's 30 or 31. So we'll be young. Hopefully, we'll be a fun team to watch, though.
Well, I know, and again, we had Christian McCaffrey on at the Super Bowl, and he's no wallflower, but he was kind of at the time, and you'd just been hired, Matt Rhule here on the Rich Eisen Show, asking him the same question, and he kind of shrugged his shoulders and lamented the loss of people who were pillars of the locker room and the franchise, from obviously Luke Kuechly, who had just retired for reasons that were beyond his control, and Greg Olsen, then obviously Cam Newton. So what about that? As you're talking about everybody socially distant right now, that aspect of things for you walking into the first year here.
Yeah, I think when you have great players like all the men that you mentioned, and even more, we lost a lot of great defensive linemen and players on the other side of the ball. It's hard, because you so appreciate what they've done, you appreciate the way that they did it, and who they are. But this is one of those games that you look back at the past, you appreciate it, but you got to keep moving forward. And Luke's going to work for us now, and I remember when he told me he was leaving, he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm sure you took this job thinking, I was going to be one of your guys, and I'm having to leave." But at the end of the day, that's part of life. That's part of this game. And where one chapter closes, I think there's some guys that we really are excited about that it's going to be their opportunities. Some young draft picks, we're excited about their opportunity. And I'm one of those guys that I just say to myself, hey, I just want to make sure that everything we're doing is pointing towards the future. And I think the fun part about that is we should be a fun team to watch. We're not the most veteran team, but we got a lot of young guys that are going to kind of try to go do it the right way. And now it's Christian's turn, and it's Teddy's turn, and Russell Okung's turn to, kind of be our leaders. And, Trey Boston and Shaq Thompson, it's their turn, and I think they're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, I know, especially since, they'll have to be in a division that Tom Brady just joined. You want to talk about veterans, Matt Ryan, and obviously Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and teams that have two of them who have made the Super Bowl in their time. Obviously Carolina has as well. But my point is, Bridgewater being, and I love the kid. He's 27, but he's a grown man. I know what I'm going to ask will sound like Bridgewater doesn't deserve this. I think he does. It's a great opportunity for him, and he beyond deserves it. But he is replacing somebody who said, I wanted to be entertaining and iconic when he arrived in Carolina, and he was. So I'll just ask you point blank, Coach, was Cam Newton not a fit for you? Is that what happened with him?
No, I would never say that. I think Cam Newton's a great quarterback, and a great person, and a great leader. And his impact on the city of Charlotte, was tremendous, both on the field and off the field. So I just think, every decision has to be looked at kind of in each time and space, and where we are right now, and kind of where we are as a team. We just felt like, hey, this is what we have to do, and this was the right decision for the team. And so, it's not ever any one thing. It's just, you have to make these decisions, which are hard, but you feel like, hey, this is what's going to be the best for us in the long run. And so, once we made that decision and we're able to get Teddy, as you said, he's 27 years old. He's taken a team to the playoffs. He's proven last year that he still has everything that it takes. And so we just felt like, what a great opportunity to get him in here for 3 years, on a 3-year contract. Let him be our quarterback. Yeah, fits our system. He knows Joe so well. They were both in New Orleans together, and see what he can do. And I've just been so impressed with him, really throughout these past weeks. As we're doing things virtually, he really loves the game of football, and when he talks about it, you see him light up, and you can see the people already on our team, responding to him. I think he's going to be really good for us.
Okay, before I let you go, Matt Rhule, when was the first time you met Tom Coughlin? Give me a good story on him. What do you got for me?
Oh man, I don't know if I have a good Tom Coughlin story.
No!
I'm still so afraid of it. I'll give you my best Tom Coughlin story. So I decided to take the Temple job. So I'm there and I'm working for Coach Coughlin, and I take the Temple job. And he comes in my office and he says, "You take it? You taking this job?" I said, yes, sir. I'm going to take the Temple job. He kind of gruff, okay. And he says to me, he says, well, you better finish out the season. I said, yes, sir, I will. So that night's the Christmas party, and the Maras and Tish family Christmas party and Giants party. And Mrs. Coughlin, Miss Judy, who's one of the most wonderful women in the world, walks up and she's like, oh, we are so happy for you. Tom is so proud of you. And I was like, which Tom are you talking about? And I said, he did look like he wanted to go up one side of me and down the other. She said, oh, you know how Tom is, but he's really, really proud of you. And that's really who Tom Coughlin is. People see him one way, but he's just an amazing, amazing guy. And I'm blessed to have worked for him.
He was, did I hear you say that you're still a little afraid of him? Did I hear that?
Oh, there's no. When he calls, I straighten up. I adjust my shirt. And
Me too.
I say, yes, sir.
Oh, he always sat in the same spot at the combine every year, right there on the 10-yard line. He wanted that 10-yard split at the 40. No one was moving him off that spot. And
right.
and I my job as host of NFL Network evolved with Twitter and social media to try and give fans an opportunity to get behind the scenes. That was the name of the show. It still is on NFL Network, called Total Access. So I felt, hey, look, this is the event that few fans have access to. So I started taking pictures of what's going on in the stands. And I had the temerity of training this is how long ago it was, BlackBerry on Coach Coughlin. And he looked at me and said the following: come on, Rich, you're better than that. And to this day, I still have, flashbacks to that moment. When he said that to me, I'm like, oh no, that's no good.
That's awesome.
So I know exactly. Hey, Coach, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. And again, you still are not, the question I asked you at this year's Combine as we quickly cross paths, you are not wearing a vest? The Baylor vest is not coming to the NFL?
No. I think that retired quickly.
Is that because it's not NFL issued, or you're just like, you know what, that was then, this is now?
Yeah, it's funny. I did it last year at Baylor. Kind of I did it as a little thing with the team, and it kind of grew and became a big deal. And at the end of the year, had I stayed, I was going to auction it off and give the money to charity, and hopefully a Baylor fan would pay some money for it. And then it had kind of run its course. So I showed up in Carolina, and they had one made for me, and I said, no. That was a one and done. So unless I change my mind or something happens, I think I'll just kind of look like everybody else.
Well, Coach, let's keep in touch. Really appreciate it, and good luck with the next few weeks. And I cannot wait to talk football. I cannot wait to talk some football. Same here. Thank you. That's Matt Rhule. You got it. That's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.